The next muscle is the infraspinatus muscle. This muscle originates from the infraspinous fossa. Here you can look below the spinous scapula. This part is known as the infraspinous fossa. From here the infraspinatus muscle gets origin and it inserts into the middle impression of the greater tubercle. Middle impression, just now I showed you in the picture. After the upper impression there will be middle and lower impression. So this infraspinatus gets inserted into the middle impression of the greater tubercle. Nerve supply is the same nerve which supplies to supraspinatus, that is suprascapular nerve coming from C5 and C6. Then action will be the lateral rotation. This infraspinatus muscle laterally rotates our arm, laterally rotates the shoulder joint. The next muscle is teres minor. The teres minor originates from the lateral border upper 1/3 of the dorsal surface. Here you can see this is the lateral border of the scapula and this is the dorsal view, that is posterior view, as I said in the beginning. So from here in the upper 1/3 the teres minor muscle gets origin. Here from here it gets origin and it's inserting into the lowest impression on the greater tubercle. Then the nerve supply will be axillary nerve, which is also coming from the C5 and C6, coming from the upper trunk of brachial plexus. The action is same as the infraspinatus muscle, that is lateral rotation. So this infraspinatus muscle and the teres minor both laterally rotates the arm. Then finally the last muscle is going to be the subscapularis. So the last muscle, as I said, is the subscapularis muscle. This muscle originates from the subscapular fossa. Here we can look in this picture the anterior view of the scapula. This part is called the subscapular fossa, present on the costal surface. So from here the subscapularis muscle gets origin. From the medial 2/3 of this subscapular fossa it gets origin and it inserts into the lesser tubercle of the humerus, which is anteriorly present here. So lesser tubercle. Then the nerve supply will be upper and lower subscapular nerve, which is also coming from C5 and C6 from the brachial plexus. So the nerve supply is both upper and lower subscapular nerve. Finally the action will be medial rotation of arm. This subscapularis medially rotates the arm. So all these four muscles together forms the rotator cuff, and the main function of these four muscles is to stabilize the joint by giving strength to the shoulder joint. That is, these muscle helps the humeral head to be held in the glenoid fossa, which is too small than the head. And here is the picture of a rotator cuff, the cadaver body dissected. After dissection we can find these. If we remove the skin and some subcutaneous fat around the shoulder joint, we can see the rotator cuff muscles. This is the posterior view, supraspinatus muscle coming from the supraspinous fossa, and this is the spine, the spinoschapula and acromion made cut so that we can see the supraspinatus and infraspinatus clearly. So this is the greater tuberosity, that is greatest tubercle. So supraspinatus muscle goes and inserts in the upper impression, infraspinatus muscle goes and gets inserted in the middle impression, and here from the lateral border you can see the teres minor going there and inserting in the lowest impression. So this is the greater tuberosity, and in the anterior view subscapularis will be coming. In this picture we can't see the subscapularis. So this is what the rotator cuff in the cadaver body. So then here also we can see this is also a dissected part of the scapula and the shoulder joint. You can see the spinoscapula, SS is the spinoscapula, is made cut so that from the supraspinous fossa, supraspinatus muscle comes, infraspinatus, then the teres minor, and anteriorly will be the subscapularis coming, and these four muscle forms a flattened sheath that is the rotator cuff, which stabilizes our shoulder joint. So finally guys, the clinical significance, the clinical anatomy of the rotator cuff, it's very important. First one is rotator cuff tear. Rotator cuff tear can be a traumatic lesion. Most probably it will be the traumatic lesion, that is because of injury. Like the person playing in sports may get injury in the rotator cuff region. So in that case the rotator cuff will be torn. The treatment will be either conservative or surgical. That depends upon the age and the severity of the tear. Then the next important clinical significance is the impingement. That is, sometimes the acromion or the spine of scapula may be abnormal in some humans. It grows excessively so that it pinches the muscles which are present there, like, or the bursa which is present above the rotator cuff muscle. So that impingement happens there is also a clinical problem for the rotator cuff muscle. So let me give you a quick recap of what we have seen today. Rotator cuff is the musculotendinous structure which is present in our shoulder joint, and these four muscles forms the rotator cuff, that is the subscapularis from the anterior perspective, and from the posterior side of the scapula comes the three muscles, supraspinatus, infraspinatus and the teres minor. These four muscles forms the rotator cuff which stabilizes our shoulder joint, and it has its clinical significance too. And here I'm gonna give you a simple mnemonic. So from this phrase, that is, the humerus sits in the glenoid fossa. The head of the humerus sits in the glenoid fossa. From this we can get sits. So the rotator cuff muscles is also called as sits muscle because S for supraspinatus, I for infraspinatus, T teres minor and S for subscapularis. So it's also called as sits muscle, and it is very important in this phrase, like the humerus sits in the glenoid fossa. Yes, because of these four muscles only, the humerus is actually sitting or be there in the glenoid fossa. So this is the rotator cuff we have seen today. Hope you guys learn it.